This topic is converting between percentages and decimals. Before we begin, remember that the percent symbol literally means a denominator of 100. It's basically a shorthand version of saying out of every 100. So if we have 1%, that means 1 out of 100. If we have 100%, that means 100 out of 100, which also equals 1 whole. Notice that when you write something out of 100, like for example 50%, when we write it 50 out of 100, that also means 50 divided by 100. And when we take a number and we divide it by 100, its decimal point, it follows the ones place like every numbers does. And when you divide it by 100, the digits shift to the right, which makes the decimal appear to be going to the left. So the decimal is going to move 1, 2 places because there's 2 powers of 10. It's going to look like it's moving 1, 2 places to the left when we change from a percent back to a decimal. So this is going to end up becoming 0.50 as a decimal. 50 divided by 100 is 0.50. So we can apply that same knowledge to the part A here. It says 5.34%. That means 5.34 divided by 100, because 5.34% means 5.34 out of every 100. And when we divide by 100, the decimal point will appear to be moving 1, 2 places. We need to put a 0 here to the left. So our answer will be 0.0534. And be sure you put this leading 0. It's technically not necessary, but the reason we put it is so we don't accidentally lose track of this decimal point right here. In the next one, we are starting with a decimal and we're going to a percent. And if we're starting with a decimal and going to a percent, we're going to do the opposite. So instead of looking like our decimal point is going to go to the left, it's going to appear that it's going to the right. 1, 2 places, because we're actually multiplying by 100. So actually what's happening is our digits are shifting to the left, and that makes the decimal point appear to be shifting to the right. And we end up with 2.7%. Remember that the percent symbol means that we really, to change it back to a regular number, we need to divide by 100. So we'd have to go 1, 2 back, and that's why we would end up with 0.027 as our decimal. Let's look at another example. So the first one, we have 2.43, and it is just regular 2.43. So to change it to a percent, we need to multiply it by 100, which means it looks like our decimal is going to go 1, 2 places to the right. So we're going to end up with 243%. And if you think about this, that makes sense because 1 equals 100%. 2 should be 200%. So 2.43 should be somewhere between 200 and 300%. Our next one is 0.4%, and we're wanting to change it to a decimal. So this really is equal to 0.4 divided by 100, because this means we are dividing it by 100. So 0.4 divided by 100, we are going to shift or appear to shift the decimal 1, 2 places to the left. We need to fill in a 0 there. So our answer is going to be 0.004. And again, if we just think about reasonableness, 1% would be 1 out of every 100, which would be 0.01, 1/100th. So 0.4% should be less than this number. It should be really close to half of that number. So if you look at this number that we have, 4 1,000ths, this number right here is 10 1,000ths, and 4 100ths is just a little bit less than half of that. Next one, we have 9.26 changed to a percent. So we're going to multiply by 100. So go 1, 2 place values, and we end up with 926%. And just like before, if 1 whole is 100%, and 2 wholes is 200%, and 3 wholes and so on, 9 wholes would be 900%, so this should be more than 900%. And then we have 0.7% changed to a decimal. This equals 0.7 divided by 100. So that means we need to take our 0.7 and we're going to appear to shift the decimal 2 places to the left, so it'll become right there. So it'll be 0.007%. And like I've said before, 1% equals 1/100th equals 0.01. We can put a 0 in the thousandths place. 0.7% should be less than that, and it is. And if you want, you can remember when you're changing from a decimal to a percentage, you're going to multiply by 100. But when you're changing from a percentage to a decimal, you're dividing by 100. But if you can just remember that the percent symbol means divide by 100, means out of every 100, and if you also can just remember some basic equivalences between decimals and percentages, like 1 whole equals 100%, 0.5 equals 50%, 0.01 equals 1%. If you just think about those, and you can rationalize the reasonableness of your answers.